Hi guys, so we're taking a little lunch break here. We're eating in the truck just because we got shade because we haven't brought the canopy up here yet. And we also, it's a little bit of a chilly wind. Judy's chilly, but I'm doing fine. I mean, once you get out here and start working and unpacking stuff, it's like, yeah, we're good. don't need to bundle up anymore. It's just beautiful here. It's like, well, the thermometer says 61, but it feels like it's in the 70s out here. But anyway, lunch break, like I was saying, and here's what we got. Go ahead, Judy.
Okay, so I spent a few minutes and I just packed some stuff, cut up some stuff. So we got rustic loaf, which has like 3 or 4 ingredients.
From a local bakery, isn't it?
Yeah,
like in
from
Albuquerque. Or...
And then some lettuce, nice lettuce, avocado and tomato, and Dijon mustard, and a little bit of mayo. Let's see what else. Pickles, gotta have pickles. And then we picked up some lunch meat. It's just like, I think it's like Hormel, but it's like no nitrates, nitrates and nitrates. So it's a little better for you. I just, anyways. So yeah, so he's gonna put a sandwich together and eat in just a few minutes. I also put a dip together, and I'm allergic to dairy, so I love ranch. And it's a cashew base. And then with a little bit of almond milk, and then I add the dill, and I add the chives, and it's pretty close. So I still have more tweaking to do but it's getting there. So I'm excited.
And we got chips. Yeah.
We have chips. Yeah, we got some chips that we like the kettle chips. So a little bit.
There's some avocado ones too.
Yeah, and there's some avocado ones. So yeah.
For a while, the avocado ones worked really good with Judy's stomach, but
now
I'm
as
not
long
so
as
sure.
I have like 2 or 3 or 4, I'm okay. If I have a lot, then I start hurting. I don't digest fats. I don't know why. It's been this way for 10 years. I just have to be super careful, and yeah, it's getting there, just little by little.
So we also packed beverages. I didn't get any of my homemade brews like I wanted. I just didn't want to scramble and try to find a bottle cap opener, but we'll bring one out here and mount one of those wall mount styles to a tree here, out in the wilderness, so we can pop a beer open.
Funny.
In the meantime, we have our second best choice, which is our little kombucha here. They aren't paying me to plug this. It's just a really good one that's like 50, 60 calories, but it tastes really sweet, and doesn't have any of those fake alcohol sweeteners. So I don't know really what the story is, why they taste so good and they have so few calories. But whenever you have something that's low calorie and doesn't have fake sugar in it, and it tastes great, then it's like wonderful. So, and then we have one of these little great sour sop from Mexico. We first heard about this on some other channels from what was it, the kids on Tangerine Travels.
Yeah,
if you ever on YouTube want to find some great travel in Mexico to follow along with, the Tangerine Travels is a good one to subscribe to and follow along, as they show you all the great food, cuisines, and locations throughout Mexico, different cities, and then they share things like, try soursop. So we found it in a local El Super Mexican market.
Yeah, it's like things like, here's soursop, I gotta get some.
Gotta try it.
Funny. So there it goes in the cart.
So that was pretty good. Then I think I have one of my, another really great thing, when you don't have beer, this too is really good. These seltzer waters are flavored, but they don't have any sugar or sweeteners of any kind. They just taste and smell more like whatever flavor they say they are. I think this one's the blueberry one, but blueberry lemon or something. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It really quenches your thirst, and a little carbonation seems to be okay for my tummy. I don't know. How's your tummy working with carbonation?
I don't do carbonation right now, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to enjoy the rest of our lunch, and we'll flip the video over real quick to just show you another angle of what we see while we munch. And that way you can be a little envious of us or something while we eat just simple sandwiches. Wish we had some more gourmet food up here, but in the future, we'll share our gourmet recipes.
It'll get better. As we get organized, it'll get better.
So here's our view facing forward out of the cab of the truck. Just a wonderful view we have here. This is where we got to build the house site, I think. Unless Judy really strongly disagrees, Though there is some benefits to that other side down there, but it's like this is where the view is. Out the other window, you can kind of see neighbors' houses up there.
Yeah, the windows are a little dirty, so I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, we'll get the truck washed one of these days.
Work in progress again. Next time, hopefully it'll be clean.
But I was also thought I'd share, and I'll go ahead and put the links to these other sites in the description down below here. But what it kind of inspired Judy and I was during the pandemic, like so many people, stranded at home, quarantined, and just bored to death, we really found and fell in love with YouTube and some of the build channels there. They kind of inspired us to start looking for land and a place to find a home for the telescope eventually, because the city lights in Albuquerque just really obscure the night sky and stuff and doesn't make astronomy very appetizing. There I am back on the food subject again. But anyway, some of these build sites, I think the first one we found was Wild and Wonderful Off-Grid. This team, husband-wife team, and their little family were living in a camper trailer out in the, what do they have, about 60 acres, I think, 70, out partially wooded and partially grassland and stuff. And they built a beautiful A-frame. It's still under construction. And so if you want to go back and watch that, that's a great channel to binge watch. And they are real fussy and picky about the quality of what goes into their build. And the husband is a licensed electrician. So since they chose to do off-grid, they, did all their solar, and they show you all the little tricks about your charge controllers, battery banks, and the problems they ran into, workarounds and all that. But they also did so many other cool things that just really inspired us. And then the other channel was two other van life couples that we were following them, started following them kind of as van life people. We stumbled upon them as we were traveling through. I think they'd made it through Mexico, but we went back and watched all their Mexico trips. And they did kind of a caravan trip through Mexico and into Guatemala, Nicaragua, and eventually through Panama, with their goal was to get across the Gulf of Mexico there from the Panama side down to Colombia, and then go all the way down to the tip of South America till they could look across the ocean and maybe try to see Antarctica or something. But these two channels are also in the description below. They are Trent and Allie. They are building a beautiful home, little tiny home they call it, in some mountains outside of Salt Lake. I think it's up by Park City, I think they mentioned, up in the canyons there. But their construction methods were pretty interesting, especially some of the structural issues that you ran into. So that too just makes them stand out as being different and unique, worth watching. They aren't so much off, I don't think they're at all off-grid, but they're worth checking out just because of the structural stuff they ran into with their build. And then the Nomadic Movement, they're another one. They traveled with Trent and Allie in their little caravan trip. When we stumbled upon the Nomadic Movement kind of accidentally as a recommendation from YouTube, as YouTube, started formalizing that we're watching all these build channels like this, so they suggested the Nomadic Movement.
Yeah, but that was before they were building.
Yeah.
They were just traveling together, getting through
Mexico, Central America.
And then the pandemic hit, and it just threw a wrench in everything, and they had to figure out what they needed to do. And it's pretty exciting to
the Nomadic Movement couple. They're kind of our hippie couple, young idealists, and they got some great values that we just admire, and they're doing things you just can't do in the United States. So if you want to see some other creative building issues and problems and community issues that they're trying to solve by settling in Panama, which is where they bought their land, check out the Nomadic Movement. And then there's Martin Johnson. He's up in northern Idaho. They're also off-grid, as was the Nomadic Movement. But Martin Johnson's doing more of a traditional build. They did put in their well with a traditional well drilling equipment and stuff. they're a little unconventional at times, almost come across as survivalists with their food storage stuff. And then we had
Red Poppy.
Yeah, Red Poppy Ranch. Also, they were like in southeast Idaho.
Yeah.
They're kind of unconventional. They caught my attention when I noticed in the first episode I caught that here's this guy building this house. He's got not only the slab done, the walls up, I think the roof on, and I think he had it pretty much dried in. And he was like still scratching his head, figuring out how he's going to get water to the house and how he's going to get a well. And it's like, what the hell are you doing, dude?
That was crazy.
It's like I would get the well and the power on first before I'd even break ground.
Figure it out.
So he's a little unconventional too. He's a real, what do you call it? Handyman that knows anything and everything, and
if he doesn't know it,
he figures it out.
He's like this amazing mechanic, and he just
he's just amazing.
He can fix anything, and he can do anything. He's just
so
it's
check out Red Poppy
stuff.
Ranch, and then the last one was
this off-grid or this.
Yeah, this. Well, I'll post them, but there's a couple others. A young couple in Canada and British Columbia that's doing a off-grid build. They're real down-to-earth people. Really admire them. And besides, they can't be half bad. They got a relative in New Mexico, I mentioned. So it's like they'll send some green chili all the time. And then there was that other young family that was in northern Idaho. I think they're called like the Off-Grid Living or something.
Yep, Off-Grid Living.
And again, all these links to their YouTube channels will be down here in the description. So anyway, I think we're signing off. No, we're not. We're going to do the water transfer next, and then we'll be done for the day. Okay, our little sandwich. I don't want to quite call it gourmet here, but got a lot of good stuff out in the wilderness here. And now just do the final assembly and chow down and keep the bugs away. Anyway, cheers. Okay, so one of the other little challenges we had was I was going to transfer the 100 and some gallons from this tote over to this tote so that we can always just keep transporting water back and forth. So that's why I got two totes. We can always have one that can be used for in transit to get water out to this site. Anyway, I bought a little $50, $60 12 volt pump, and it mentioned to prime it, and I just assumed it meant like a water prime, just pour some water in it. But after reading through the directions, it's talking about vegetable oil, which of course we don't have anything like that out here on site right now. So the prospect of doing a electric, mechanical pumped transfer is not going to happen. So beginning to panic, like, do we need to run into town, go to the market and get some vegetable oil or whatever, which I didn't want to do that either, but I was able to jury rig something where I'm just doing just siphon, where I shorten the length of one of our ratty little hoses, and cut it to the right length and pulled the truck along a little closer, and I just managed to do a manual siphon with the hose, just putting it up to your mouth and sucking real hard till you can get some water coming down, and got lucky, got the siphon going. It's going at a pretty good pace. I would say a couple gallons a minute maybe. So hopefully we'll get this transferred or enough transferred pretty quickly. I can even see the water line so far down on the this is awkward to do, so backwards, but you can see it down here. There's a little water line there now as we're getting some water transferred, probably 40 gallons or something so far. So keep our fingers crossed we can get majority of it out of there, and then next time I'll have the interface designed right, because the little piece I bought on Amazon doesn't fit, or at least it didn't fit the one that's here on the ground now. The thread just wouldn't thread. That took it from a 2-inch connection here. That's what I got down here. It's a 2-inch ball valve, and a 2-inch threaded connection. And there's like 3 different, international standards that different countries use and stuff for these. So what it had was one that just wouldn't thread on it, was what I ended up buying, like 2 for $10, that would take it down to a hose fitting and a standard garden hose. But that didn't seem to want to thread, so I'm going to go look at it some more when I get home and maybe get a rubber gasket style 2-inch that goes around this and tighten it down real good, and then put it down to a hose fitting. I've done this kind of stuff before. Lots of plumbing in my past, lots of electrical, lots of sheetrock, sanding, texture. We're in for some fun times ahead. The Adobe portion is the first time to do in a remodel or a new project, whatever. So, but everything else I'll try to explain real well. The plumbing, the electrical, any of the roofing, structural problems, whatever, the solar when we get to it. And hopefully it'll be informative and useful to you. And if you have questions when we get into this build, don't hesitate to ask. I have no problem sharing and pounding out information. I'm a data guy, so cheers. Thank you for watching an episode of Nature Preserved Life in Mountain Air, New Mexico. If you'd like to follow along and support our channel, please press the subscribe button and gong that bell to be notified. After all, it's free. Free is a very good price. In the future, we'll plan to focus our episodes on our eco-friendly build of earthen construction and dark night astronomy, that big guy there, and tourism of the regional area, as well as establishing a Patreon account for the sole support of wildlife in Deer Canyon Preserve. So stay tuned. Cheers.